LeBron is going to be able to get it done and compete for a championship in the West. As much as I like Anthony Davis and agree with him being one of the best bigs when he's healthy, he's not available enough. You're talking about a guy that's missed half the games the Lakers have played over the last 2 years. And Greeny, he's knocking on age 30. Show me when the last time we've seen a big man get healthier as they get older when they've had an injury history like Anthony Davis. It doesn't happen. So, yeah, I think this is LeBron James' last best chance of competing for a championship slipping away. As much as I like what Darvin Ham is saying, their new head coach, I just don't think the Lakers will have the firepower to get it done.
It's an interesting point here, Wendy. So where do the Lakers, you ran through a 4-team scenario and all these other stars, what role do the Lakers play in how all of this plays out?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of change agents that could happen. Two jump out to mind that could change the current scenario. One is if Kevin Durant comes forward and says something. Whether he says, look, I asked for a trade from the Nets, and I still want to trade from the Nets. I don't care what you think about running it back. That would, tip the apple cart for sure. The second is if LeBron makes a Kyrie Irving acquisition an issue in his potential contract extension talks, which can begin next month. Now, I'm not sure that he's going to do that. I think LeBron didn't like the blowback that he got for being part of the blame for the Lakers doing the Russell Westbrook trade. I think he wants the Lakers to improve. I think he'd love to have them get Kyrie Irving, but I'm not so sure that he wants to walk in, pound his fist on the table and say, I'm not signing this unless you get Kyrie Irving. But because that is still out there, and because that is an unsettled issue, which is a significant issue for the Lakers, what LeBron's future there is going to be, I have to leave it out there on the table as something to watch for.
That's very interesting to me. Friedel, what do you think?
Greeny, who cares if LeBron signs this thing or not? I'm sitting here watching this Kevin Durant thing unfold. If we've learned anything in the last few years in the league, if a star wants to get dealt, he's gone. And he will usually find a way. So I know that is a huge, huge issue for the Lakers organization. But recent history tells us LeBron can sign any piece of paper there is, and then in a year say, I don't want to play with Russell Westbrook anymore. Anthony Davis can't stay healthy. This team is a mess. They're not very good. I want out of here.
That's fair. But I will say this, just sort of taking everything at its face value in the moment in which we exist. I described the other day, and I do not mean this to sound as disrespectful to Russell Westbrook as it probably comes off. Westbrook is a Hall of Fame player, and he still has a lot left to do in the NBA. But he is such a bad fit. He is such a square peg in a round hole or whatever it is with that group that I said if they're able to turn Russell Westbrook into Kyrie Irving, it's a miracle. It's a basketball miracle that could save and provide their only chance. So to me, Chris Canty, they have to do whatever they can to make that happen. Whatever it is they can do to make that happen, that's what they need to do.
No doubt about it. And Rob Pelinka has to put that 2027 first-round draft pick that the Lakers have on the table if it means being able to flip Russell Westbrook for Kyrie Irving. We've seen that he's been hesitant to do that at the trade deadline. LeBron James expressed some frustration because they didn't do so. But I think this is something that you have to take a look at. But again, Brooklyn is holding all the cards. Both of those guys, Kai and KD, have expressed they don't want to be there. But I don't know how much leverage either one of them has in terms of forcing their way out of town, which makes this a fascinating situation.
Quick final word, Wendy, go.
New York Post today, we have a Kyrie Irving source saying he's ready to go back in Brooklyn. I find that report probably credible, and that's Kyrie's trying to take a posture on the position as well. Yeah, you could see this coming down the road. Maybe you didn't exactly know when. And even now, Utah is kind of posturing that they're not, totally decided on trading Donovan Mitchell. But, they'll take your phone call with their overwhelming offer. But most people believe that Donovan Mitchell is going to be traded before next season. And so now we have a new entrant into this scenario where we've got a whole bunch of teams out there trying to put something together. And so really, right now, you got 4 teams that are looking to dance and a couple of players that are big-name players. So, obviously, the Nets and Kevin Durant. You have Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz. DeAndre Ayton, who has been a target of the Pacers and now is sort of thrown into a little bit of limbo as they watch for this to play out. And I have to put Ben Simmons in there because Ben Simmons, he cannot play on the same team as Donovan Mitchell. So if there's a trade scenario that makes sense where we've talked about how the Nets don't have a trade offer that really has them excited and has them even sort of pulling back and sending out the signal that they may retrench and try to bring both Durant and KD back KD and Kyrie back next year. Getting Donovan Mitchell and offering it to them could change up the situation. But it's very hard, even though I can tell you how all four of those teams could work together, especially since Indiana is one of the few teams with cap space that can fill in the gaps and sort of, apply some grease and make a deal go. It's hard for me to swear that everybody in that situation is going to be satisfied. And at the end of the day, the Phoenix Suns have not been willing to pay a premium to get Durant, which is why we're in this spot. And so to go get Donovan Mitchell, where they're going to need a major premium to then deliver him for Durant, that's a bit of a stretch. But I have to acknowledge that this is out there, and there's a construction that there could be a major deal here.
Look, I like the way you put it in our first hour today. It's hard to get four people to agree on where they all want to have dinner. It's even harder to get four teams to completely reshape their entire futures at the same time in one deal, but they've got months and months to try and get it done. So, Fidel, pick it up from there. I know there's another possibility in all of this that you like. Where do you see it now with the latest on Donovan Mitchell?
I think the best fit for Mitchell, Greeny, is in Miami. When you watch that Heat team in the postseason, when they struggled offensively and got bogged down, it was Jimmy Butler or nothing. If you bring in Donovan Mitchell and the offensive firepower he can provide, he takes pressure off of Jimmy, and he allows that offense to move all around the floor with a lot more ease. And the key to me in all this is that you don't have to gut your team the way you would if you acquired Kevin Durant. Of course, Donovan Mitchell isn't Kevin Durant, but if you're the Heat and you feel like you are one more star away from getting over the hump and into the finals, Mitchell can be the guy potentially for a package that includes Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, a bunch of picks, whatever it takes for Miami. If you don't have to move Bam Adebayo, I'm for, and I think Mitchell to the Heat with Jimmy Butler is a hell of a pairing.
So let me fill in the final piece of this jigsaw puzzle before I bring Canty in for perspective, and that is, Windy, that right now, as Stephen A. Smith is enjoying his vacation wherever he is screaming at the television, how about the Knicks? How about the Knicks? Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks. He's been screaming that for a year, and he wasn't even available then. So how about the Knicks, Windy?
Well, this is the trade that is probably going to attract the most attention, primarily because we saw that Rudy Gobert got 4 first-round draft picks, for the Jazz, and that is going to be the Jazz's priority. They're telegraphing what they want, and the Knicks have 8 available first-round draft picks to trade, including, quite frankly, their own, which are going to be viewed as more valuable because if you trade for, if you get the picks that if they're from the Suns, where they're going to have Durant and Booker for the foreseeable future, that's not as exciting. You get Knicks picks, and while Donovan Mitchell should make them a better team, it doesn't make them necessarily a championship contender. So the Knicks are going to be in position here. Donovan Mitchell is from the New York area. He is the star they've been looking for at the Garden. There's connections between his agency, CAA, and Leon Rose. A lot of things line up for the Knicks to make the deal. And when you talk to league executives, to be frank with you, Greeny, some people feel that everything the Jazz are doing right now is just an effort to elicit the best offer they can get from the Knicks. And I agree that the Heat are intriguing, but as of this moment, the Heat only have 2 first-round picks that they're allowed to trade. They could do a side deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder that I won't bore you with, where they could get their hands on 3. But the Knicks, from a draft pick standpoint, the Knicks have more to offer than anybody.
Let me make clear, when you're talking about the Utah Jazz, no one is bored. And I think that was proven out a couple of weeks ago, and it will remain that way until the end of time. All right, so Canty, you're living in this every single day on your radio show, Coast to Coast on ESPN Radio. So let's take this thing apart in your perspective on each of them. First and foremost, that 4-way deal that Windy was laying out, fascinating, but incredibly complicated. If they can't make that happen, is the Nets' best course of action, is Durant's best course of action to run it back in Brooklyn again with KD, Kyrie, Ben Simmons, and give it a shot?
Yeah, I think so, Greeny. And here's the deal. KD and Kyrie have already expressed that they want to continue to play together. There's no other option for them to do that in 2022 other than the Brooklyn Nets. And oh, by the way, if you're Kyrie, this is an opportunity for you to change the perception of what you are around NBA circles if you stay with the organization that ultimately gave you an ultimatum this offseason. If you acquiesce to what they want, show that you can buy into a team-first agenda, then I think that changes how people look at you moving forward.